everyone, we are Group 5 and our case company is Far Eastern Telecommunications Corporation Limited. Here is our table of contents. We will first introduce our company and the DNA model. Then we will have an in-depth analysis with the application of the model to the company. After that, we will have recommendations and a conclusion. So let's start with our introduction of Far Eastern Telecommunications Corporation Limited. Far Eastern is the third largest telecommunication company in Taiwan. It mainly provides services like mobile communication, internet access services, mobile banking, and real-time access to financial information. Besides, it sells cellular phones and related equipment. In 2001, it was listed on the Taiwan Stock Exchange. Its S&P Global ESG score is 88. Apart from the services and products, Far Eastern also earns money from its infrastructure like the base stations and data centers. As the business scale is large, it has a wide range of stakeholders, from manufacturers to technology providers, and from ordinary customers to corporate clients. The organizational structure of FET mainly follows a horizontal structure based on the functional and market departmentalization, since it has multiple business units operating in different markets and targeting different customers. FET established a CSR committee in 2011. There are 5 main purposes of this committee. The first one is to advise on sustainability and material issues. Second, planning corporate annual action plans aligned with the CSR standards. Third, recommending and instructing CSR actions and measures. Fourth, reviewing governance performance based on the global standards and KPI. Last, investigating the risk of material issues and proposals of business units. It has the highest authority in sustainable governance and updates its reports to senior management in a periodic and timely manner. The vision, mission, and commitment of FET are focused on quality service, innovation, and other CSR practices. FET also states the 5 goals as the core principles of a sustainable development. They are Go Prosperous, Go Innovative, Go Caring, Go Inclusive, and Go Eco. We summarized 8 practices of FET under the 5 goal principle. The first 3 is about Go Prosperous. The 4th one is about Go Innovative. The 5th and 6th one is about Go Caring. And diverse inclusion and human rights is of course about Go Inclusive. And the last one is about Go Eco. Then we will introduce the DNA model. The DNA model was created by Wayne Fishers in 2011. It can also be called CSR 2.0. Before going through what CSR 2.0 is, we should know why CSR 1.0 failed and why CSR 2.0 was created. First of all, there were 3 limitations of CSR 1.0. First, it was peripheral. It was largely restricted to the largest company, and most importantly, the CSR was confined to PR, but not integrated into the business. That means the company is using CSR as their promotion strategies. Second, it was incremental. The improvement based on the traditional CSR standards cannot meet the urgency and the scale of the problems, and the improvements were often too small to solve the issue. And last, it was uneconomic. Some studies found that there was no relationship between CSR and financial performance, so that the company will not address the importance of CSR. And the practices of CSR 1.0 were completely outdated. And that's why CSR 2.0 was created. It provides solutions to global issues from the environmental, societal, economical, and institutional perspective. It emphasizes sustainability and responsibility. Sustainability means the destination. It can be a challenge, vision, strategy, and goal. While responsibility is the journey, the company needs to have different solutions, responses, management, and actions to reach the destinations. CSR has 5 stages. The first 4 CSR were contained in CSR 1.0, which are defensive CSR, charitable CSR, promotional CSR, and strategic CSR, respectively. The 5th one is transformative CSR, which means the company needs to identify and tackle the root causes of unsustainability and irresponsibility. And this is about CSR 2.0. There are 4 core elements of the DNA model. First, value creation. Its strategic goal is economic development. We can use capital investment, beneficial products, and inclusive business to evaluate the company. And the second element is good governance, and it aims to raise the institutional effectiveness. Effectiveness can be measured by the transparency, leadership, and ethical practices of the firm. The third one is societal contribution. If the company has philanthropy, fair labor practices, and supply chain integrity, it can be stakeholder-oriented. And the last one is environmental integrity. It aims to create a sustainable ecosystem. And to reach this goal, the business should protect the ecosystem, use renewable resources, and produce zero waste. Besides the core elements, CSR 2.0 has 5 principles. The first one is creativity. The business should use innovative and creative solutions to tackle the complex and intractable sustainability problems. Second is scalability. The company should provide alternatives that can address the urgency and scale of the problems. The third one is responsiveness. The business should reach the needs of all stakeholders and their benefits. The fourth one is locality. The company needs to find the local context which can solve the local problems. And the last one is circularity, which means the use of raw materials should target zero pollution and environmental problems. Now, I will pass to Martin to talk about it.
In this third part, we will use the elements and principles of CSR 2.0 as analytical framework to assess and evaluate Far Eastern's performance. The first DNA element is value creation, which aims to promote the society's economic development. Does Far Eastern provide beneficial products and services for the society? Our answer would be yes, because it uses its technologies like 5G, IoT, and AI to create value for the society. One of the evidence is its 5G remote diagnostic clinical project. In 2019, it worked with medical institutions to provide remote medical diagnosis and treatment services for the rural residents using its 5G technology. In total, 6,000 residents have benefited from this project, and it also opened a new business opportunity for the medical practitioners. And Far Eastern also have an inclusive business supported by its employment, investment, and diverse inclusion programs. Revolutionize Education, Spread Love Far is one of its digital inclusion programs. FED organized learning camps and competition within this event for the remote area students to provide an opportunity for them to learn the technology and importance of it using its services. So in a way, it fundamentally addresses the economic and educational disparity between the urban and rural areas, and it tries to resolve this disparity through its inclusive services. The next element is good governance, targeting strategic goal of improving institutional effectiveness. We use transparency and ethical conduct indicator to examine its CSR performance. FED has transparently reported its board of directors' performance result, procedure, and criteria under Director Performance Evaluation Policy. The detailed results of self-evaluation and third-party evaluation are also reported along with further disclosure of members' diversity and skills information. And it has established a firm foundation for its ethical codes too. The Code of Business Conduct is FED's policy for its employees who are involved in the business or operation. It clearly defines the responsibilities and ethics in conducting business, such as rejecting political donation and encouraging fair trade. And we can say that it has effectively encouraged the ethical conducts within the business organization, as there were no breaches were found in 2019. The societal contribution targets to achieve stakeholder orientation. Fed's human rights policy fits this indicator. Fair labor practices. This policy abides by both Taiwanese and international regulations to prevent violation of human rights in the workplace. Fed ensures it by conducting human rights due diligence investigation regularly to prevent any misconducts, monitor the risks, and rate the organizational level awareness. Fed also introduced supplier ESG screening and assessment in 2019 to promote supply chain integrity. Under this initiative, it uses ESG metrics to assess and evaluate the supplier's risk and compliance with its ESG standards. The goal is to cooperate with the suppliers to effectively monitor their risk and problems so that the entire supply chain is responsibly contributing to the society. So far, more than 350 suppliers are involved under this initiative. The last one is environmental integrity with the goal of shaping a sustainable ecosystem. Fed has strongly performed in this element by implementing science-based targets in its resource management. Fed sets an ambitious target too, which aims to reduce greenhouse gas emission by 20.3% in the year 2030. These science-based targets complies with the Paris Climate Agreement in reaching net zero greenhouse gas emission level. This is the level where the human-produced emission balances with natural removal rate. In the past 3 years, Fed successfully reduced emission by around 13,000 metric tons, and both total waste and energy consumption level declined dramatically, while its waste renewal rate increased. Now, we will take a further look on the reasons why Fed follows CSR 2.0's principle and how it is reflected in their CSR practices. Creativity is important for Fed considering its business nature. Introduction of new technologies like 5G, it demands Fed to use innovative and creative solutions for its CSR practices. And Fed has successfully launched creative solutions for a specific social or environmental problem. Examples like Smart MB IoT streetlight, traffic analysis based on big data, and smart environmental detection, these all demonstrate Fed's commitment in providing creative solutions for the society. Fed also adheres to the principle scalability. Its ESG standards and supply chain renovation are all addressing the climate risks and issues, and it provides sustainable options for the stakeholders. We believe that Fed was successful in implementing its green procurement and value chain strategy. Examples like green stores, green logistics and packaging, data center and energy saving solutions. These are all sustainable options for Fed, customers, and suppliers. And also, we believe that these not only contribute to environment protection, but also increases Fed's business efficiency at the same time. Telecommunication business involves and affects many stakeholders, so it is Fed's responsibility to reach out proactively and provide necessary support for them. Fed had organized events like high school AI app teaching, Save Abandoned Children fundraisers, and all of this reflect the principle of responsiveness. Fed tries to resolve the fundamental problem of its stakeholders by providing necessary support. But on the other hand, Fed is utterly reluctant to political lobby even for the positive purposes, and we fear that it might be problematic for its future progressive initiatives because of the legal system's limitations. The importance of locality arises when the business is involved in both international and national regulations and standards. So FED needs to design an approach that satisfies both, but it has to place more priority in the local society. It has performed strongly by hiring 99% of employees with domestic citizenship and providing them indefinite contract. And its human rights policy and immigrant program benefit both local and immigrants living in Taiwan. But we have spotted gender inequality in its managerial positions and salaries. It might be due to Taiwanese society's characteristics, but we believe there are rooms for further improvement in following the international trend. The last principle is circularity. FED is at the end of the supply chain as it directly conducts business with the end customers. So it implies that the initiatives of FED in shaping a healthy business ecosystem is extremely important. It had recently implemented ESG standards within its supply chain, and it reflects the circularity principle of FED. This tells FED's efforts in improving integrity and reducing the environmental impacts of the supply chain. So applying these united standards, FED and its suppliers form a synchronized ecosystem that acts together under one doctrine in pursuing a common goal.
So now I'll talk about part number 4, about the limitation and recommendation of FET. So the first part about the limitation is about the gender inequality. So in FET, you can see in the graph, the employee by gender of general employee is evenly distributed. It's like 49% versus 51%. But when it comes to the executive level, like the managerial level, the gender ratio of male comes to 66.3%, while female just only 33.7%. So it's like half of the ratio of male. So you can see really great differences between male and female employee in the executive level. And besides, in graph number 2, you can see the employee training hours of general employee of male is far less than that of female. You can see in the graph the average hours of training hours of general employee of female comes to 264, while male just got 120. So it's more than double. So for the recommendation, the problem is that the female employees have less resources and working opportunities and in the executive level. So the company may consider to give more working opportunities to the female employee in some senior managerial level, like some managers, assistant managers, and provide some trainings. Because in the graph you can see that in the executive level, the training hours of female is less than that of male. And besides, I think the company may avoid some traditional bias that like female cannot be the leaders, the female cannot be the managers, cannot lead the team. And I think they should avoid this traditional bias and believe that female could be a good leaders and manager in the company. And regarding the great differences in training hours of general employee by gender, I think companies should provide more training resources for male general employee. And the second one is about the salary gap. So in the graph, you can see that the ratio of salary between male and female is not evenly distributed. It's like female is always less than that of male. And when it comes to management employee, the ratio is 1 to 0.87. So there's in equal in their salary, even in same department or maybe same level in the company. And here's some recommendation is about, I think the company should determine the salary by their maybe working performance, job position, and productivity. Maybe some female employee, they perform well in workplace, and I think the salary should be determined by more focusing on their performance, but not maybe some gender stereotype in the workplace. Is the privacy concern regarding the 5G development. So FET have established different kinds of 5G projects with the government and hospital. For example, 5G Science Park in Taiwan and 5G remote diagnosis. So like the 5G Science Park, they develop different kinds of like big data, AI, IoT technologies to monitor the people and try to get some insights by their behavior in the science park, and maybe provide some technologies to help them in their daily life. And for the 5G remote diagnosis is the cooperation between FET and three hospital in Taiwan, and use this kind of remote technology to have a diagnosis. So I think the concern is about the private information and behavior, because in order to get the big data, in the science park there are lots of things, lots of IoT to monitor your behavior and information in order to get insights from the big data. And moreover, for the diagnosis, there's like some private information of the patient will be go through some IoT developer like the FET, and they may not get the permission of the users, and some IoT developer and government may able to access this kind of private information. So the recommendation is about the user's privacy problem. I think it is important to protect the user's privacy when it comes to 5G technology, because 5G allows lots of data to goes through different kinds of IoT developer, and maybe the third party will able to own or access the private information of the users, but the users did not know that. So I think the FET have to make sure they have asked for users permission whenever the private information will be accessed or owned by the third party. And also it is important to acknowledge the users clearly that where will the information goes and who will be able to own or access your private information. So the last part is the conclusion part. So FET perform on the performance of FET in CSR have been widely recognized by different institutions as well as government. So they have a pretty good performance on CSR in the recent years, and it also have 88 marks on the S&P Global ESG score, which is relatively higher than the others company. And FET have a really comprehensive plan and structured measures on policy on CSR, including their like 5 goals, aims as the core principle of its sustainable development. And moreover, in terms of the CSR 2.0 model, FET have fulfilled the 4 core elements like the value creation, good governance, and others. And it also matched the 5 principles, which is creativity, responsiveness, and others principle. So they perform really comprehensively and well in different aspects of CSR. So this is the end of our presentation. Thank you.